time check on Radiowa. It's 2 p.m.
Because news is not gossip, we are positive.
I basically Aida solemnly affirm that I will be faithful and clear on true allegiance to the Republic of Uganda, and they will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. So help me God.
I'm Maringo Patrick Bosco, saying in the name of the Matter of God, solemnly affirm that I will give faithful service to this council and support and uphold the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda as by the law established. So help me God.
You see, sometimes I'm polite because I really don't want to create political problems for people who belong to the same party as myself. So that's why I don't talk so much. But this must stop. I shouldn't speak about this for 2 weeks, begging, writing, lobbying. I'm now a lobbyist. I will no longer lobby. I will use my authority to say no. Finish. And when I say no, it will be no. You better know that.
It's 89.8 FM News Time.
A very good afternoon, our dear listener, and thanks for tuning in to 89.8 Radiowa English News. And first, a look at the top stories. 43-year-old man from Ogur arrested for beating his wife. I beg your pardon, 43-year-old man from Ogur arrested for beating to death his 60-year-old mother. And then 11 arrested in connection to General Katumba's attempted assassination. Meanwhile, France suspends military ties with Mali over coup. This and so many more. My name is Immaculate Chen, and now the news in detail. Police at Lira Central Police Station is holding a 43-year-old man for allegedly assaulting to death his 60-year-old mother, Angelina Ngu, over Dohalid Village, Ogur Parish, Lira District. North Kyoga Regional Police spokesperson Jimmy Patrick Okema identified the suspect as Patrick Ongom, resident of Dohalid Village, Ogur Parish, Ogur in Lira District. It is alleged that in the night of 30th May 2021, the deceased went to the house of the son, Patrick Ongom, to have a conversation with him over a family matter. Ongom received her with a beating, accusing her of interfering with his privacy. She was later rushed to Ogur Health Center where she succumbed to the beatings on June 2nd. Okema said the matter was reported at Ogur Police Outpost before it was transferred to Lira Central Police Station when the suspect was arrested. He said a team of police detectives have visited the crime scene and the body of the deceased delivered to Lira Regional Referral Hospital mortuary for post-mortem. Meanwhile, the senior presidential advisor on epidemics, Dr. Monica Musenero, has advised parents not to take their children to school before the presidential address on June 6, 2021. Semi-candidates are expected to report for the special term on July 7, 2021, with borders reporting on Saturday, June 5, 2021. Musenero says that she has been receiving several calls from the parents asking for guidance on whether to take their children to school or wait for the presidential address. She said that it is better for the parents to wait for the address and make an informed decision on the issue of taking back the students to school.
I've been having a lot of calls from parents consulting me to see whether they should take their children back to school because the education calendar, unfortunately, there are some children who are supposed to go home either the same or some have even gone also earlier. So instead of addressing each individual, my advice is one, given the COVID situation, given that we are going to get a definitive guidance from the president on Sunday, it is better that parents wait and once they have had the guidance from the presidential address on Sunday, then they will know what to do.
Musenero says that to avoid the situation of parents rushing to pick children from school and spending money on paying fees, parents would be safe to wait for the presidential advice.
And then what what if the president says schools close, and then the parents have to rush and get back the children and the complications. So my advice, as myself as me, is that parents could wait. They could wait until the president, then they will know whether they should take back their children to school or not.
She adds that the COVID-19 situation in the country is worrying, and also the increasing cases in schools need to be analyzed. She, however, says some schools have decided to hide cases that make the situation worse for the country and the learners' population. Meanwhile, the Director of Basic and Secondary Education, Ismail Mulindwa, also head of the COVID-19 task force, when approached on the matter, did not contradict Dr. Musenero's advice and say that as a Minister of Education, they are also waiting for the presidential address to know the way forward. Moving on, 11 people have reportedly been arrested by the Joint Intelligence Committee in connection to the attempted assassination of the former Chief of Defense Forces, General Katumba Wamala, on Tuesday. 4 of them were picked over the repeated calls they allegedly made before, during, and after the shooting of General Katumba Edward Wamala. General Katumba's vehicle H4DF 2138 was riddled with bullets on Tuesday at Kisasi, a suburb of Kampala, in an attack that claimed the life of his daughter Brendan Antongo and driver Haruna Kayondo. General Katumba, who is also the former Inspector General Police, survived with the bullet wounds. Sources at Joint Intelligence and Joint Operation Committees have intimated that 2 of the closed-circuit television cameras show the alleged assailants seemingly speaking on phone as they fled to the scene. As a result, the intelligence teams comprising the military and the police secured printouts of the telephone calls made minutes before, during, and after the attack on General Katumba's vehicle. It is reported that out of the many calls made between 8:25 a.m. and 9:15 a.m., 4 people arrested were in constant contact. Besides the 4 suspects of telecom calls, sources have revealed that 7 other people, were mostly witnesses of the shooting, were picked and interrogated by both intelligence and operation teams. You're still tuned to the news on 89.8 Radiowa.
Wow, business today.
Brought to you by Guru Nanak Oil Mills Company Limited, manufacturers of Shea Butter Master Wash Laundry Bar Soap.
United Nations Development Programme has continued on its course of increasing emphasis to provide expert advice, training and grant support to developing countries working on solutions to global and national development challenges. The program has announced its new profound partnership with the Rolex Initiative and Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities to train 500 food vendors in the Western region in proper waste management mechanisms, proper hygiene standards, and encourage the vendors to use different forms of eco-friendly sources of energy to protect the environment. According to Jonathan Nalebo, the co-founder of Rolex Initiative, the campaign will be dubbed Rolexpreneur, where they will also help some small businesses to bounce back better after being crippled by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Health news.
With the addition of another ambulance, the services offered at Lestina Health Center 3 in Orum sub-county is expected to improve. The Member of Parliament of Otuhe East, Julius Achon, say the new ambulance, which will be handed over to the health facility today, will improve on the health service delivery in the district. Achon says he is working with the district leadership to ensure more doctors are recruited and also ensure the Ministry of Health upgrade to the district hospital. He says he was able to acquire the 200 million shillings ambulance and the complete blood count machine at 16 million shillings with the help of his American friends who donated the money to him. Achon said the CBC machine will be installed at the facility today. Achon said he has also prioritized health in his constituency, urging that healthy person is able to fend for him or herself. Christina Health Center 3 is a private health facility which was constructed in 2012 to help address health service gaps in Orum sub-county.
International news.
France is halting joint military operations with Mali over last week's coup in the West African country. It said the suspension would continue until it received guarantees about a return to civilian rule in Mali. French forces have been supporting troops from Mali, Chad, Mauritania, Niger, Burkina Faso to fight militants in the Sahel region. On 25th May, Mali's military strongman called Assimi Goïta ousted the country's civilian president and prime minister. This week, the West African grouping ECOWAS and the African Union suspended Mali from their bodies. On Thursday, France's Armed Forces Ministry and both ECOWAS and the AU had set the framework for the political transition in Mali.
Wa Sports on 89.8 FM for updates on the latest sports news, local, national, and international news.
Arsenal have announced the departure of 4 first-team players. They are Dani Ceballos, David Luiz, Martin Odegaard, and Matt Ryan. The 4 players will leave the club this month after their contracts expire on June 30th. Ceballos, Odegaard, and Ryan had all been on loan with the Gunners, while Luiz ends his 2-year stay at the Emirates, having signed from Chelsea in 2019.
Ecclesia Church News.
The Congregation for Divine Worship might soon issue a document modifying some of the provisions of Benedict XVI Motu Proprio. Rumors about possible restrictions imposed on traditional mass spread last week after the Pope had a closed-door meeting with the members of the Italian Bishops' Conference gathered in Rome for their annual plenary assembly. Speaking with the bishops, the Pope hinted at new regulations about the celebrations of the Mass in the extraordinary form, although he did not get into details. According to the sources, the Pope did say that a third draft of the document is currently under study. As we have come to the end of our news, let's have a recap of the stories that made headlines. 43-year-old man from Ogura arrested for beating to death his 60-year-old mother. And then 11 arrested in connection to General Katumba's attempted assassination. Meanwhile, France suspends military ties with Mali over coup. That has been our news for you this afternoon. Remember that you can now follow us from any part of the globe using your mobile devices and computers on www.radiowa.org. Stay tuned for more programming coming your way. My name is Immaculate Chen, and have a very good afternoon.
That was the news on 89.8 FM, Radiowa.